Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidparam. So far, we have seen the introduction to the topic of Gita for the youth. And today we are actually getting into the text itself. So just before we start here, I will share the screen with you here. Okay. The portion which we are right now in is, we have seen this, that is Vedanta, the spiritual vision. The definition of Vedanta that is given is Vedanto Nama Upanishad Pramanam. Bhagavad Gita is essentially considered as a Vedanta text by Adi Shankaracharya. Imagine a boy of 16-year-old is the one who had written or established a philosophy within 16 years. From its age 16 to 32, he completed his task of establishing a philosophy, replacing the existing misunderstanding, existing system, and establishing a new way of thinking. That is the greatness of Adi Shankaracharya, who gave clear definition of things. Like any science that requires us to understand the technical names. So similarly, here, when we are studying Bhagavad Gita, let us understand it's a text of Vedanta. So Vedanto Nama Upanishad Pramanam. This is a definition which says, whatever is said in the Upanishad is the Pramana authority for establishing the philosophy called Vedanta. And what is a Pramana, or what is a authority? That which is a means of knowledge. Like for seeing, eyes is the Pramana or means of knowledge. For sound, ears are the Pramana or the means of knowledge. For taste, tongue is the means of knowledge. Without the tongue, the taste is not known. Without the nose, smell is not known. Without the eyes, vision is not there. Or forms and colors make no sense. Without the ears, the sound is not our experience. In the same way, immortality or the highest truth for us to know, since it is not an object, a thing which can be perceived through the senses, the pramana or the means of knowledge is Vedanta. For example, you and I are there in a room, let us say, and in between us there is a space. Now, you don't see space, you don't hear space, you don't taste space, you don't smell, you don't touch space. But there is space. How do you know? You can't hear, taste, smell, touch, see, but you know it. How do you know? By knowledge. That we both are in a plane or in a sphere, and there is a distance between you and me. Therefore, the distance is space. And we are all inside a sphere called space. So this is not a possible, it is not an objective perception through the senses. In the same way, Vedanta says that which is in you, called spirit or soul or Atman or self, whatever you call that as, is there but not perceptible through senses. Just because I don't see or hear or taste or smell or touch, you cannot say it doesn't exist. Just like space, even though I don't see any other form, but I know it is. So in the same way. So what is the means through which you know? That is called pramana. The means to that existence of the reality is Vedanta. That is found in Upanishads, in the teachings of Upanishads. Bhagavad Gita is also acclaimed by many as a scripture of Vedanta. Adi Shankaracharya established the view of Advaita Vedanta through his commentaries on Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita. Advaita means non-dual. The absolute truth, called Brahman, is one without a second. This is a very important understanding for all of you because you come across many different people in your life, in your hostel, in the university, when you are working. So many people, those who believe in Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Buddhists, and also non-believers. So, Vedanta is not another religion. Vedanta believes in existence of a one reality which is common in all, irrespective of what religion, region, community, color, caste, belief system, whatever is your background, whatever is your faith, whatever is your trust, whatever is your knowledge. But there is something which is common in all of them, irrefutable, and therefore you are learning about something which is a universal truth, does not belong to any religion as such. But at the same time, this universal reality called Brahman, the very name Brahman means that which is big, the absolute in Sanskrit. So this thought about the universal reality was thought of by our rishis, great masters or thinkers, and they happened to write in the language called Sanskrit, and that became the scripture. So the Hindus claim that it is their scripture, but not necessarily, because it does not belong to as such Hinduism alone. So now when we talk about such a subject matter of universal reality, we should also understand why should I as an individual or you as an individual should know about it. What is the purpose? What is the result of it? Because anything that we come to learn, then the first question is, why should I? What is the benefit? What do I get out of it? So you and I are presently at this condition, present condition, we are so associated with our individual personality. So I am so and so, I have studied this much, I belong to this community or clan, I speak this language, I know this profession, I have this brother or sister, I belong to this family. All this identification with which we live, this individual you and I are referred as Jiva or soul. Jiva or the individual soul is experienced as I, the subject of all experiences. From the day I am born, the day I was born, and till today, I had so many different experiences, which some of them which I know, some of them which I remember, some of them or most of them which I don't remember. Even what I had experienced yesterday, not all experiences that I have had yesterday, I don't remember. Some of them I do. So all of us are product of all those experiences that we have had since our birth. But who is the experiencer? The question is this the physical body is experiencing all the experiences? It cannot be, because this body has undergone many changes since birth. Is this a mind? The mind also undergone various changes, including the knowledge that it had had when it is 2 years old is different from what it is having at 20 years old. So mind and intellect cannot be the seat of all experiences. So they say that there is one in you, which is called soul. For the present argument, let us keep it as an X factor. This soul is the one which accumulates all experiences. And then one step further, they go to say, this soul which you are is not only an experiencer of this life, it has experienced many lives, many different experiences through many different bodies, many different relationships for thousands of years. So even if you don't believe in that, doesn't matter. At least believe in that soul which started to experience from the day you are born till today. So it is possible to doubt the existence of an object, but it is never possible to doubt and deny the subject. You can say that I didn't go to a party today, I was absent in the party, but you are present somewhere else. You can never experience your own absence. You may be absent-minded, but you cannot be absent. So even when you go to sleep, you are not absent, you are not remembering. That's all it is. Because when you wake up in the morning, if I ask you, did you have a good sleep? Yes. But if you are absent, then how will you know that? I know I slept well. Who knows? I. So you, the experiencer, should have been there in the state of sleep to know that I am having a good experience. So that you can, when somebody asks next morning, have you had a good sleep? Yeah, I had good sleep. I experienced great amount of joy, peaceful sleep. So you are never absent. So that which is never absent in you, according to Vedanta, is Jiva. Other things can be absent. So like, for example, this body through which I am seeing you, or seeing this computer, or hearing things, etc. This physical body is not functioning in that same capacity when I go to sleep. It doesn't hear anything. It doesn't smell anything. It doesn't taste anything or seeing anything while at sleep. But yet in my dream, I am seeing. I'm seeing my dream. I'm hearing in my dream. I'm walking in my dream. With what body? So that my mind assumes the body at that time. My mind itself is the body. With the mind only I walk in the dream. With the mind I sleep. In the mind I speak. With the mind I run. With the mind I see things. So physical body also sometimes absent in the sleep. Even mind becomes absent in a deep sleep. But you are not ever absent. This is one of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. You are never absent. That absentless, ever present existence is your own soul. A man may doubt many things of anything else, but he can never doubt of his own being, says Bradley, a great thinker. So that is about soul. Okay. So the jiva is the individual soul which you and I are. All right. Now, we as individuals, we come across the world of all other things, matter. Rivers and mountains and trees and plants and people and animals and varieties of various galaxies and planets, seasons, rain, shine, sun, moon, star, Star Wars, so many things. This world is different from all of us. Huh? I say I am soul, and all other things that are there, including you, is a world for me. You belong to the world. So me, the jiva, is different from the world that is around me, including you. It's called Jagat. Jagat means the world. So these two terms, you should understand. Jiva, the individual I, and Jagat, the world that is experienced by me through my eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, mind, thoughts, emotions, feelings. That's the world. And interestingly, the way I experience my world, the world which I come to interact with, and the way you experience the same world is totally different. There are few occasions where you and I will experience in the same way, but in general, it is so unique. Everyone's experience of the world. All right. Now the interesting point is, now I come to know who I am. I'm a jiva. And the world that is in front of me, which I am experiencing, Jagat. Okay. Now, in the scientific understanding, analysis of anything, the question arises, who created you or the soul, and who created the world? Did you create the world? Anyone of us can claim to have created the world? No. Okay. So can the world create me? If I say world, I mean the matter. Matter, can it create a live being, a live organism, me, I am? No. So that means this world around me and me as an individual self experiencing it are two things. If these two things are constantly interacting with each other, and the cause of both of them is yet another known as Ishwar, the cosmic soul or God or Jagadishwara. So Ishwar, by the very meaning of that word, is Ishwar means the ruler, the controller. So this is the perception or understanding of the great rishis. When they looked at this world, they realized there is one subject, and there is another one called the object of experience. And the subject and objects are constantly interacting with each other. But I have not created the objective world. Therefore, there is a creator of this objective world, and that one is known as Ishwara, God. So when you go to a temple, a Vishnu temple or Shiva temple or any other temple, what you have as a main deity in all temples is referred as Ishwar only. For a person who is a worshipper of Lord Ganesha, Ganesha is the Ishwara. For a person who is worshipping Ram, Ram is the Ishwar. For the person who is worshipping Shiva, Shiva is the Ishwar. Why? For him, God is Rama, and Rama is the controller of this universe. For another person, Bhagavan Ganesha is the controller of the universe. Nothing wrong. The concept is the same, but the form is different. So, therefore, in Indian or in Hinduism, they don't fight about who is Ishwar. Because for a person who believes Ganesha, Ganesha is the Ishwar. For a Vaishnavite or a person who believes in Vishnu, Vishnu is the Ishwar. For the person who is worshipping Shiva, Shiva is the Ishwar. There's nothing wrong. But the point is, the Ishwaratva, the rulership, is only one. It can take different forms. That Ishwara is not an individual. Ishwara is the power or the position. Like, Trump, even Obama has resigned or is finished his tenure. Now, somebody else is coming into his position, right? So here onwards, he will have the rulership of this country. Then the president is not a person. President is a position. In the same way, somebody say Ganesha is the Ishwara, or Rama is the Ishwara, or Krishna is the Ishwara. Doesn't matter. But the Ishwaratva is one and the same. Please understand, this is very important. So, me, the Jagat, Jiva, and the world around me is called Jagat, and the one who is ruling me as well as the world is the Ishwar. And that can be Ganesha, that can be Ram, that can be Krishna, that can be Shiva. Somebody will say somebody that is Shakti or Durga. So many different, doesn't matter. That's why Hinduism allows, okay, whatever you want to have. There's no problem in that. There's no fighting, really speaking. All right. Now, the Jiva, me and you and I, are limited by the owner, the body that we own or that we identify with. Because I don't see myself in another object. Do I? Do I see myself in a computer? Do I see myself in a chair or a table? Do I see myself in another tree or another person? No, I don't. So that means my understanding about me is limited to this physical frame. I am. It is, therefore, a jiva or the soul is identifying individuality who identifies with a limited matter, and thereby this limited individual thinks that he or she is subject to the conditions of the matter, and matter being subject to change, he will also change and he will also die at some point of time. That is the misunderstanding of most of the people. Most people who identify themselves only with the limited matter, which is natural, and they say that I am born at some point of time. So that's why you have date of birth. And at some point of time, I'm going to die, date of death. I don't write that. Somebody else writes it. I won't be there to write that. So born at this particular date and died at this particular date. So that is there. So you take your great-grandfather or grandfather who might have been dead. So he was born at some point of time, say 1920 or something. And he died 1980 or 1990. So, like Gurudev, 1916 he was born and he died in 1993. So that physical body of the person called Swami Chinmayananda was born in 1916 and he died in 1993. So 77 years he lived. The body of the individual, 77 years old, died. So is the case with all of us. So most people, 99% of the population, human population, believe that I am limited by this physical body and its peculiarities, characteristics. So I am born at some point of time, I am subject to death. All right. Whereas the concept is the Ishwara is not a person. I told you that. It's not a person. It's a power. Therefore, it doesn't have any particular body to identify with. Ishwara is not an individual person, and therefore there is no physical structure with which that Ishwara operates from. On the other hand, Ishwara is a power which operates from all possible living beings and non-living also. That is the perception of Vedanta. Isha vasyam idagam sarvam yatkinja jagatyam jagat. That is a statement coming from Upanishads. That Ishwara, that power operates from all beings, all things. Like for example, the electricity, the power is generated somewhere, maybe thousands of miles away, somewhere. But it is today, I'm experiencing it in front of me as the light. Where is it coming from? If you may ask that question, it's not coming from my switch here. It's not coming from a switchboard, which I have. No, switchboard is only a controlling mechanism. It supplies the power, it distributes the power, so to say, from wherever it is coming from. And if it is beyond a certain voltage, it will cut off. That's a controlling unit it is. So that's not the producing unit. So if you see that even if you say Edison has a huge installation from which the power is supplied, it's only supply. It's not the production unit. Production is somewhere else. So just for an example, electricity is produced somewhere, distributed all over the country, and there are many distribution centers. And from every distribution center, there is a local distribution center. From the local distribution, it comes to my building. There is a control unit there. And from there, it is supplied to all parts of my building. So I have this lamp in front of me, which is an expression of what? Expression of the unknown power. Where it is generated, I don't know. But I am experiencing it here. And not only in this lamp, there is a tape recorder that is running, there is a TV that is running, there is a computer that is also I'm able to operate, and there is a, let us say, a vacuum cleaner that is also running by the same power. Everything around. My heater, my washing machine. In the same way, Ishvara, the power, is operating through all of us, known and unknown. A bird that is flying, that is also Ishvara only. So Ishvara's presence is there. A lion that is roaring, there is Ishvara's power expressed. A small little worm scrolling, you can't even notice that it is in your some in the corner of a room that is moving. Ishvara's expression is there. And under the microscope, you take a curd yogurt, and you understand under the microscope, you see millions of germs alive. Ishvara there. You take a cup of water and look under the microscope, there are so many small micro things are there. Ishvara's expression. A plant, you see, beautiful flowers are coming out, fruits are coming out. Ishvara's expression. So, if only we come to understand that Ishvara is not somebody who is sitting up above the heaven with a binocular watching me doing things. Such a stupid idea. He has no other job. He is watching you over from the clouds. He is watching you from everything around you, including your own self. What you call as a soul here, now let me give the connection here. The soul here or in you, it is his expression. His, and I say, it is not his alone, him, her also. Don't say, oh, it's a male, it's not female. Both are same only. And anyway, it depends upon which body through which he's expressing. If it's body, in this body through his expressing, it's a he. If it's the female body, it's a she. So not only the living beings, birds and animals and plants and trees and human. No, not only that. Wind, fire, air, earth, water. It is that very presence, that very power called Ishvara is the one which makes wind flow, water run, earth rotate, fire burn, space to expand. Therefore, he is referred as the cosmic soul, the total matter world. Now, the point is, when I come to realize that Ishvara, who is operating through or expressing through all living and non-living beings, includes me. So why am I then feeling that I'm only this? I'm not feeling my presence in another living being. Maybe another plant is there, and I'm having a plant in my room and I'm looking at it. That plant is also alive. It is also breathing. It is also growing. It is expressing not in the form of me, not the way I do. I am talking and walking, etc. But it is expressing itself as beautiful leaves, some flowers, some fruits, some beautiful smell that is coming out of this flower. All these are also because of Ishvara's presence there, but I am not able to see myself expressing in that. I am only seeing my expression here within this limited eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, body, but I am not able to see myself in that plant. Looks different from me. But the philosophy is here that when you stop identifying yourself only as this physical body, you come to eventually experience your presence within and without. You start seeing your own presence in the plant, in the dog, in the animal, in the bird, in the insect, in all living beings, all non-living beings also. Akhanda mandala akaram vyaptam yena chara acharam. Moving and unmoving. Chetana and jata. Inert and sentient. That is the vision of Vedanta. You can, and that the practices towards that, towards achieving that is called a sadhana. And the important sadhana, which in Chinmaya Mission we take up, is to understand. It is to, first of all, bring that awareness. First of all, bring that attention, that consciousness. It's not merely going on studying. There are people who just don't do anything else but go on reading books, give pravachan, books and pravachan and books. Just sit down and start looking for it. Start experiencing it. And one after another, that bhashya, this bhashya, that, this. No doubt, clarity of understanding is necessary. But that alone should not be the life. That becomes Shastra Vasana. One should close the book and see, now how can I see my presence in at least one more thing? You know, in the case of a parent who has given, let's say, a mother given birth to a child, she experiences that that child which is born is my own being. It was there in my stomach for 10 months. It's a part of me. Just like this hand is part of me, right? If somebody cuts off this hand and puts it there, would you see that it is different from you? Though it is cut off from you, but you say, hey, that is me. A part of me it is. Presently it is cut off, but it can be joined and then it will become part of me. Think of it. So in the same way, the mother feels the child which is born, child which was there with me as part of me, kicking me every often through in my stomach for the past 10 months, is when it is delivered, and when she sees that as another thing, in the first few moments or few maybe weeks and days and weeks, she just cannot but identify with that this is me. And slowly that fellow, this little one, it starts growing up, and it has its own mind. I don't want to talk to you. I have my own idea. The mother says, after all, who are you? It's part of me only. But anyway, she forgives, she compassionately accommodates. But, that feeling that mother has with respect to the child, how intense it is, so should be the intensity of a person when he comes to experience himself in all other living. This is said in the Upanishads. Just like a lady in her womb growing the child, how much she feels identified with that child, so should be a person who is walking the path of Vedanta should identify with the self which is expressing through all living beings, living or non-living. So, without identifying with the body, mind, intellect, the soul, the jiva, is none other than the supreme self. Now, Ishvara is a position, as I told you, but the power called Ishvara is a function of creating the universe. But what is that power in its original nature is when it is not functioning as the controller of this universe, is Brahman. When it is assuming the position of expressing through all living beings, it becomes Ishvara. Just like you, when you are by yourself, you who you are, but when you go to your workplace and then you start taking care of your subordinates and employers, etc., then you are a boss. You are a father only with respect to your son. You are a brother only with respect to your brother or sister. You are a son with respect to your parents. But who you are? I am. Without any of the relationship, I am. In the same way, Ishvara with respect to the world, Brahman with no relationship. In the same way, soul is jiva with respect to this living condition called the physical framework, but in its original nature is same as Brahman. Just like this electricity, the power through light, through lamp, when it is expressing, it's a light. But what is its original nature? Power, which is same in all. In the same way, Brahman expressing in many ways, in different bodies in different ways. This total expression is the power of one Brahman, one single presence. But when it is become a controller of the universe, he becomes Ishvara. This is the vision of Vedanta. Without identifying with the word, the Jagat Ishwara is none other than Brahman. The goal of Vedanta is to realize that the soul and cosmic soul are essentially one. Now, life is divine and one in all, known as Brahman, which is eternal and immortal. This power, Ishvara, expressing in the form of a controller, which is otherwise known as Brahman, the Absolute, is one in all, and its nature is timeless. It is not bound by time because it is not produced by anything and it will never subject to perishing. Why? Because it is not a thing, a material thing. It is produced by some other combinations. Like it is even said, life cannot be produced in a laboratory. Without life, life cannot be produced. Life cannot be produced by putting certain organism together. There has to be life already from which alone life can be produced, if at all. Without the presence of life in anything, you cannot, by mere matter, produce life. So, just like life is not subject to be originated from non-matter, in the same way, Brahman is that which has no beginning. And since it is not a product produced by something, caused by something, it has no end also. Therefore, it is referred as immortal, eternal, timeless, and endless. So, Brahman expressing through matter is referred as Jiva. It's only a restatement of what we have seen before. Soul, Jiva, has two forms of identification. One is the gross body identification with the body, and then another is subtle matter. So, subtle matter called the mind. So, I sometimes identify with my physical body, and which has hunger, thirst, and all those things. So, that is one level of gross identification. And I may sometimes identify with my thoughts and feelings and emotions, opinions, concepts, ideas, knowledge. That's another form of identification. So, this subtle form of identification is called ego. which we come to clash with other person. Somebody's opinion, it's not your opinion. Somebody's ideology is not your ideology. So there is a ego clash. So the concept in Vedanta, ego is not a physical entity. It is in the form of an identification with something subtle in you. From the standpoint of the soul, Jiva, the total gross matter is the world, and the creator of this is God. Both are manifestation of Brahman. Jiva and Jagat and Ishwara. So both from the individual standpoint, Jiva, and the collective standpoint, Ishwara, both are nothing but manifestation of Brahman. World of matter is inseparable from spirit. God, Ishvara himself appears as the world of matter, since the soul, Jiva, perceive it through the matter. Now it's interesting. The world that we come to experience cannot be without the frame of reference. Like without the body, there is no world for me. World of matter doesn't exist. If I close my eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, everything, all the perceiving faculties, is there a world? For example, a person who is blind, for him the world of names and forms, colors are not there. Colors and shape don't exist for him. A person who is deaf, the world of sound doesn't exist. A person who cannot use the tongue, for him the world of taste is absent. For the person who cannot have smell, the world of fragrance is absent. One who does not have eyes. So similarly, so one who does not have the feeling in the skin, and obviously the world of touch doesn't exist. So all the five faculties are not there. Then there's no world of sound, smell, or taste, or touch, or vision. Then what is the world for him or her? The material world doesn't exist. Maybe emotional world is there. For a person who is in coma, what world he lives in? You tell me. A person in coma, what world he will live? He'll be living in. He's not seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, touching anything. He's not having feeling of expression of love or compassion, anger, lust, greed, jealousy, forgiveness, and feeling bad, depression, dejection, disappointment, joy, sorrow, success, failure, accomplishment, none, hope, faith, none. Because mind is not there, but he's there. Into which world is it? Where is this world for him? So the world is only with respect to the instrument with which we experience. So the existence is there independent of the equipments of experiences. So the world as such is only a secondary experience with respect to the equipment through which we experience it. So even though that is the truth, but the experiencer, the one who is experiencing, different from the equipment, is independent of the world. Please understand that. The world doesn't exist for a person who has decided to withdraw to his experiences from through the equipments. That one who is independent of the world is same in all. This is the point which Sri Krishna will make in the second chapter. Recognizing the homogeneous presence of Brahman and raising above identification with matter is the state of enlightenment called liberation. So, moksha or liberation is where one comes to recognize that I'm independent of the world of matter and I exist whether the matter exists or not. Because I am immortal. Physical body alone has mortality. Physical body alone has subject to change. So physical body alone is subject to birth and death, and I am not. I am independent of all this. This becomes an experiencer, and that state of experience is referred as moksha or liberation. All right. So, any questions at this point before we move on to the next one? Anybody? Are you all there? I am going on and on. Yes.
Yes, Swamiji.
So, any questions at this point before we start the first chapter?
Swamiji, it's not yet framed correctly, so I'll give some more thought on it and then ask.
Okay.
If anyone else has questions, please go ahead.
Okay, so I'll move on to the next one. All right. So now we begin the first chapter here. The first chapter of Bhagavad Gita is known as Arjuna's grief. The word Bhagavat means of Bhagavan, of God. Gita is a song. So the song of the Lord or song of the divine, so to say. 18 chapters are there in this great literature, scriptural literature. Originally composed by a great rishi known as Vedavyasa, who was also the one who compiled the 4 Vedas for the benefit of the human world. Vedas are body of knowledge which contains the ultimate knowledge of everything, so to say, for us to live effectively in this world. And even though it has many different subject matters, there are places where we find philosophical dialogues or discussions taking place between a very, very well-deserving student as well as a very well-informed teacher. And that part of discussion on philosophical matters, metaphysical matters, is known as Upanishad. And what is discussed in the Upanishad is known as Vedanta, the philosophy of oneness, the science of living, so to say. Our Gurudev would say science of living. Now, this subject called science of living or the philosophy of oneness is only taken out by Vedavyasa, and he had incorporated in a story. Perhaps it has really happened, that story, as a discussion between a warrior and a charioteer. And that forms Bhagavad Gita. This comes as in the middle of Mahabharata. Not only Mahabharata war, but in the Mahabharata literature, it comes right in the middle. And that is a very interesting part of the entire Mahabharata text. The Bhagavad Gita is the philosophical discussion found in a literature called Mahabharata. All right. That much introduction is sufficient right now. What's the background of the story? The story, in a simple way, it's put. The ruling king was blind at one point of time in India or Bharat, and his sons were dishonest. They claimed their cousin's kingdom by cheating them in a chess game and sent them away for 13 years. The 5 cousin brothers were Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadeva. Upon returning after 13 years, the cousins were denied their kingdom and they declared the war. Since these 5 cousin brothers are much nobler than the king and his sons, they are known as Kauravas, because the whole clan is known as Kuru dynasty, therefore they are called Kauravas. Even though the 5 brothers known as Pandavas are also belong to Kaurava clan only, but since they are to be separated out as a opponents to Kauravas, they are referred as Pandavas. So they were denied their kingdom. because they were sent out by cheating the game, and when they came back, they were not given back the kingdom. So therefore, the war is imminent. And Krishna, the avatar or the incarnation of Lord Vishnu, was all the time helping these 5 cousin brothers to get back their kingdom. And finally, when the war was declared, Krishna decided to support them by being a charioteer of Arjuna. Arjuna was a born warrior, and he excelled in archery, and his charioteer at the war was Krishna. So now the war is about to begin. At that point, Arjuna decided to look at carefully who are all the people to whom he has to fight with. He being the primary warrior who is excellent in his archery, the entire Pandava clan was mainly depending upon Arjuna and his skills. Therefore, Krishna being a charioteer, he was asked by Arjuna to go and to look at the look at the people who are about to fight. When he looked at the people whom he is going to fight with, suddenly Arjuna became extremely emotional. Arjuna saw his own relatives standing to fight against each other in kingdom, power, and wealth. He suddenly went into a state of remorse and started doubting the purpose of the war. So this is the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Why should we, his questions were, why should we sacrifice our relationship for the sake of wealth? When we kill each other, the traditions and culture will be destroyed. These are all his own conclusions. See, so he saw his own uncles, his own cousins, and from his side, his own sons, his own brothers, his own various other relatives also. On the opposite side, all the other cousin brothers, including his own teacher, his own grandfather, everything in the other side. So, in his understanding, when we fight with each other in the same community or clan, we destroy each other, most of the people will be dead, and the tradition and culture will be destroyed. On the destruction of the tradition and culture, the society will go astray and become evil, and all women will become corrupt, taking wrong ways of living. So because the war is mainly fought by the men, the women will be left, without men to take care of them, and thereby the women will be losing their chastity and integrity and marry anybody and everybody they want. And in the process, the set principles and disciplines of living will be destroyed. Imagine we are talking about a society which is at least 6,000 years back, not yesterday's culture or today's culture. In today's culture, it is all accepted. Anybody can marry anybody in any way, man to man, woman to woman, man to woman, man to woman to man, and women to a vulture, vulture to a man, and a monkey to a man, all sort of things. So, but we are talking about 6,000 years back, where much more conservatism was there. And so Arjuna was a representative of that conservative society, where each one is given a duty to perform. Each one is responsible for certain things. Like, for example, if there is a policeman, a cop, he is given a gun because he has the duty to protect others. Not personally, he is not supposed to use the gun on any of his enemies, but as a protector of law, he has to protect the interest of the community. So anybody dangerous to the community, if he comes across and if he cannot stop him or her, he has to use the weapon to kill. That is his duty, not his wish. In the same way, a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer, all those various professions in today's world, in the past, it's about the kings, it's about the businessmen, it's about the brahmanas, it's about the kshatriyas. They were all given certain specific duties to perform. They take those responsibilities very seriously, and they are supposed to do it. That is their dharma. So what Arjuna was feeling is, in case the society is not having such a discipline because of the war, everything is destroyed, and when such kind of a chaotic condition, there will be theft, and there will be molestation, there will be rape, and there will be destruction of the society's code of conduct, and all these things will go astray, and the general discipline of the community will be lost, and people will stop doing what they are supposed to do. And in that, when women go astray, the social system will get muddled, prescribed duties will get destroyed, and when the duties are not properly performed, hell will be the result for everyone. So the force or the purpose for the war, according to Arjuna, was that fight to get your right, fight to get your kingdom back, fight to get your wealth back. And he suddenly felt that even though the fighting is for the wealth, in the process there is only hell. At the end of it, there will be only destruction, violence, blood. There will be a social disorder, this indiscipline, and that he fears that will happen. So Arjuna's conclusions, or you can say confusion, is basically killing people for wealth is sin, especially if they are one's own relatives. And king's duty of protecting the society from the enemies is questionable if the enemy is one's own relative. And it is better to live by begging for food better than engaging in such a war. And then his question is, how do I kill my own teacher and grandfather who are on the enemy's side while they deserve to be respected by me? So I don't want to live further after killing my own relatives for kingdom, and I'm confused about my duty. What will remove my sorrow? I surrender. Please teach me. This way, he is surrendering to Krishna to give him an advice. That is where the second chapter actually begins with this kind of a conclusion by Arjuna, and now Krishna will teach him the correct perception of things. So that we will see in the next session. All right.
Swamiji, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
On the first portion of what Swamiji introduced on the introduction portion of the Gita today, Swamiji, you gave an example of how we understand space. Right? If there is distance between two objects, I know that there is space in between that. So in a way, it's not my direct sense organ perception, right? So what is the difference between that kind of understanding versus knowing that my true nature is Brahman?
No, I gave this as an example. That means that even though it is not perceptible by the senses, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, etc., but because I do not see or hear or taste or smell or touch, etc., doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So the space existence is not a perceptible reality. It's a conceptual reality. Though we don't question it. Even though it's a conceptual reality which is beyond the senses, we don't say it doesn't exist. It is. So why? Because the concept is very strong. If space doesn't exist, where do I exist? Is it not? I and you are there within the space, though I cannot comprehend through the senses. In the same way, I see only matter. I don't see spirit. I don't see its existence. I don't know. But then I know that I am, in the sense that even though it is not a perceptual reality to me, it's not because eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin are there, therefore I am. That's why I gave the example that even when you go to sleep, where none of these are really functional, through which you are not operating, really speaking, but you are never absent. Even when you say so-called absence in sleep, actually you are not absent. Because if you are absent, who is experiencing sleep? at the end of it. So my mind is not comprehending it as a feeling, as an emotion. My intellect is not comprehending it as an idea, nor even my senses know it as an experience of the sensory experience. Yet I know I am. So this is therefore is beyond the conceptual, beyond the perceptual reality. So that's the reason it is.
Okay, Swami. And the same reason is extrapolated to understanding the fact that the existence which is there in the plant is the same existence in me. Although I cannot perceive it, I cannot deny that fact.
Correct. So in Chandogya Upanishad, the example that comes, when the teacher asks the student to open a small seed, and he said, "What is there? What made the tree?" He said, "The seed." Okay, open the tree, open the seed, and see where is life in that, which makes the growth of the tree possible. He couldn't see the life as a physical reality. So it is there or not. So he asked, and he says, "Yeah, it should be there, though I don't see it." Yeah.
Thank you, Swami.
All right. Anybody else? Any question, or we can conclude? Suryanshi? No. Nikhil? I don't see the camera there. Ranjim? No. All right. We'll conclude here. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhat Bhaved. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om.